Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, March 11th, presented by Boston Hemp Inc. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Brett Skalski, your regular Monday crew with you, ready to break down the Monday NHL card. Of course, we got 4 games on tap tonight for this Monday slate. Looking forward to it. We'll get right in first to the action that we saw on Sunday, and it was a very entertaining Sunday slate. It started with a bang for many of us, because I think the whole community of the Ice Guys show, myself, Alex, viewers and listeners that tune in on a daily basis, I think all of us had a piece, if not multiple pieces, of the Edmonton Oilers yesterday early afternoon against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Penguin fade train rolls along with no end in sight. I mean, this is just going to be game in and game out. We're going to fade this team until proven otherwise. It's just been absolutely dreadful. On the ice, it's been bad. Off the ice, we know things have crumbled. Traded away Jake Gensel. Crosby's pissed. Crosby's depressed. Crosby's depressed, I'm telling you right now. And even yesterday, I think you could tell he's given you an honest, strong effort most nights. And even yesterday, it's like, man, even his effort's waning a little bit now with everything that's going on with just how bad the team is. Yeah, it's almost like 1-2-3 Cancun has already struck. For this Pittsburgh Penguins team, just 4-0. And even when it was 2-0 for the longest time, like it was 2-0 early in the first period for Edmonton, and it stayed 2-0 basically until midway through the third period. You never once felt like, oh yeah, Pittsburgh's still in this game and they're going to come back and make something happen here. You never once felt that way. Yeah. You always felt that Edmonton was still in complete and utter total control from start to finish in that game, even though it was 2-0 for a while. And then the next thing you know, of course, they put it away with 2 more goals and a 4-0 Edmonton victory. A couple of goals in the third, both by Darnell Nurse. And again, we had a piece of Edmonton first period puck line, a piece of Edmonton in regulation. We had Edmonton team total over. So it ended up being a nice start to the day with Edmonton. The next game, wow. I mean, Nashville and Minnesota, very entertaining game. This was definitely a much better game for the TNT audience yesterday afternoon, but back and forth affair. The Minnesota Wild just, they're not going away as far as the wild card race is concerned. They find a way to win it 4-3 in overtime after Ryan O'Reilly ties it 3-3 in the third period. And one of the more, surprising and unique and different things that we have seen at the end of an NHL game, John Hynes making the conscious decision at 3-on-3. Now, this wasn't a delayed penalty call, by the way, on the Nashville Predators. This was just 3-on-3. We're going to take the goalie out, and we're going to play with an extra attacker. And I don't know what possessed him to do this. I don't know. Like, as much as people are just over the moon with praise for John Hynes, let's be honest, too. If Nashville gets a hold of that puck and fires it at the empty net and scores and wins the game, and not only wins the game, but if they had scored there into the empty net, Nashville, they would have lost the point that they had already secured, the Minnesota Wild, based on the rule that's in place in the NHL, where if you have an empty net goal against you in overtime, you lose the point you already had secured by going to overtime. So that was ballsy. But hey, it worked. So he's a genius. Where if it doesn't work, he's an absolute numbnuts. So, it depends on which way you look at it, but it worked. So he doesn't have to hear the flack. He doesn't have to hear the negativity. He doesn't have to hear the criticism. It worked. It was gutsy. It was ballsy. It was all those things you want to mention. And it worked. And Minnesota, of course, scores basically 5-10 seconds after he pulled the goalie. So a big win for Minnesota. Again, it's still looking tough for them as far as making the playoffs, but they're still alive mathematically. They're still in the hunt. They're still in the mix. And certainly they needed a win against a team they're trying to catch, Nashville, and they were able to get it 4-3 in overtime. But, Alex, I couldn't believe what I was seeing there with the end of that game.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, just good back and forth hockey. Two teams, great rivalry. We saw a couple of great fights in that contest. The crowd was into it for the majority of the game, but to see that finish, and you got to give some huge credit to John Hines for just having the balls to pull the trigger on a move like that. And clearly, that had to be something that they saw. Maybe the video team too. Shout out longtime video coach Jonas Plum with the Minnesota Wild. I'm sure they may have seen something where we have some kind of an edge to where we can, if we have a 4-on-3 spot, we have a chance to do this in overtime or play with an extra attacker that we can capitalize on this situation. So I don't know what it was they saw that made them pull this off. And also Marc-Andre Fleury selling it perfectly. He was already aware of the fact that Hines was going to make this change, so he knew going into the overtime that he'd be able to do this. The little hesitation of him skating to the bench and then officially going off, which kind of made it seem like, is this a delayed penalty? I think that kind of tripped everybody up. Certainly people in the stands as well, but I think people on the ice, especially Nashville players, were kind of caught a bit off guard, thinking, "Hey, what's going on here?" And next thing you know, clear open spot, and then the no-look pass to set up the game-winning goal as well. It was just absolutely fantastic. That's one of the more memorable plays in Minnesota Wild history, and certainly something that'll be remembered in NHL history as well. I don't think we'll see that happen too often moving forward, though.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll tell you what, he actually is the first. That's the first time I've ever seen a coach do that in overtime. Really, it's shocking. And here we are. I've never been a big fan of this man from a coaching standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
I thought New Jersey underachieved with him. I thought Nashville had soured pretty quickly. But I'll give him credit for this. But still, I'm kind of in amazement here. We're sitting here today and we're saying coaches might actually take something from a John Hines playbook in the future and use it themselves. But here we are. Might end up happening after what we saw yesterday, that maybe another coach will have the guts to try something like that in overtime when his team's desperately in need of points to try to make the playoffs. And remember, these coaches are playing for their jobs. They're trying to make the playoffs with every fiber in their being.
And I think that's the thing with Hines making this call, right? Do we really know if John Hines is sticking around in Minnesota after the season? I think that's one of those kind of gut calls where, okay, if it failed, you obviously got to have some explaining to do to Bill Guerin and the upper management if you lose that game and lose that point. But please, make your case and say, hey, we were, trying to go for broke, and now you look at the positive of it. It worked. They're still in the race. That's the kind of win that can give you some extra momentum, and that's what they desperately need, especially when you look at their schedule. Very heavy home set, road set, home set down the stretch. They need something to give them momentum if they want to try to be one of these final two wildcard teams, and something like that's a perfect catalyst for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a crazy finish there with that. And just quickly that night we saw, we thought we could sweep this little ensemble we had with the Arizona-Chicago game, but it unfortunately Connor Bedard had other ideas. He doesn't give two shits about our bank rules last night, and he was absolutely outstanding. It was just one of those nights the puck was following him around all night. He was just absolutely tremendous. 2 goals, and then the pass he gives Tyler Johnson. And you can't even call out Arizona. What happened to Arizona? Bad defense. You can't even call it out on the Tyler Johnson goal, for instance. That's just an incredibly skilled, talented hockey player making a tremendous play, tremendous vision, to be there at the top of the dot, the face-off circle, and then zip a beautiful tape right on the money, too. Like totally online, right on the stick of Tyler Johnson at the side of the crease. And there's absolutely zero chance the goalie or anybody defensively is stopping that for the Arizona Coyotes. So it was one of those nights for Connor Bedard. 7-4 for Chicago as they beat the Arizona Coyotes twice in less than a week. But we do get the team total. We do get the first period puck line in that game. And I actually had a little piece of the full game over as well. So we'll take it. We did. It was like kind of a Splitsville, if you will, from that game last night. But credit to Chicago and credit to Connor Bedard, especially. A hell of a night for him. Hell of a night for the Carolina Hurricanes. 7-2 beatdown over the Calgary Flames last night. 7-2 Kakalaki in that game. Jumped on Calgary in the first period, led 2-0. And then it really got worse from that point on, and it ended 7-2 in favor of the Hurricanes in that game. Obviously, it was a back-to-back situation for Calgary after losing in Florida, so a bit of a tough spot for them. Not a great day for Dan Vladar, but it's not so much a Dan Vladar thing. This was if you watch, majority of the Carolina goals were these beautiful passing plays, tape to tape, tic-tac-toe, give-and-go plays that made Calgary's blue line look absolutely silly throughout that hockey game. And I've said it all weekend on this show. This Calgary blue line with no Noah Hannafin and no Chris Tanev, you subtract those two guys. Those aren't just two good defensemen. These are two, upper echelon defensemen, especially with what their skill sets. Noah at both ends of the ice, lugging the puck up the ice. He can contribute offensively. He's having a good offensive season from the blue line. He's good in his own end. And, of course, Tanev's a shot-suppressing machine, shot-blocking machine, terrific at killing plays in the defensive zone. You lose both of those, and you are simply not going to be as good of a blue line, period. It's that simple. And I think the method moving forward, and it's why I like Carolina team total yesterday, best bet on the show, it's going to be attacking those opponent team total overs when teams play Calgary moving forward, because they just don't have that same defense. Markstrom can only bail them out so much. And even in the Florida game, we saw it. The team was horrid in front of him. He could only bail them out so long, especially when they play good teams like they did Florida and Carolina this weekend. So team total overs for teams playing Calgary makes a lot of sense to me moving forward. And we obviously cashed an easy one there with Carolina team total over last night. And then the final game was the New York Islanders really rolling Anaheim start to finish 6-1, and a rare, kind of a rough night for Dostal. Dostal's been good lately, not one of his better nights last night easily. But hey, Betty Crocker's going to burn the odd cake every now and then, as I say, and it definitely wasn't one of his better outings. But credit to the Islanders. They have clearly pushed their way up the standings. They're on a roll. They're on this win streak, and now they end the night in a playoff spot. They've tied Detroit for the second wild card spot, but they get it based on fewer games played. And then they're just knocking on the door of Philadelphia for third place in the Metropolitan Division. So credit to Patrick Waugh and the Islanders. 6 straight wins for them, and definitely they can start thinking, just maybe we can be a playoff team after all. Brett, what did you think of Sunday's action?
Yeah, it was good. I think as a Flyers fan, it was good. It's good to see the Pens where they are. As a rivalry, I always like to see the Pens have a crushing stretch of season, which it looks like that end of the year is going to be. Thought it was real interesting, the Minnesota finish. Sergei Fedorov kind of started that over in the KHL a little bit. And then the last game I watched, I got to see some pieces of the Carolina game, and mainly I was watching Kuznetsov, who looked like he was comfortable, fit in nicely, and looks like he's going to be a pretty good addition, I think, for them down the stretch.
And you're right. I know you're taking a great pleasure in Pittsburgh's demise. There's no question. But now as a Flyer fan, you got to start being a little concerned about the Islanders now, right on your heels now in the race for third in the Metropolitan Division. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And, of course, Detroit has kind of fallen apart here these last few games without – amazing. You take Dylan Larkin off the team, and they've looked atrocious. The Islander game, the obviously the Arizona game was brutal. And then the Vegas game, they lose on the back-to-back over the weekend. So the Red Wings aren't assured of anything anymore either. Yeah. They've got to try to right the ship badly. Alex, the night games, obviously, I know you want to talk Chicago. What did you think there?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the confliction of being fan and better, right? As a fan, it's a fantastic fucking game. Connor Bedard putting the team on his back when they needed it. Keep in mind, they were dead in the water the first 20 minutes. The handicap was spot on point. There was a bad goal that was given up by Soderblom, and it looked like we were going to be well on our way toward possibly rolling. Like I said, didn't get the first period over, but that was a little dicey because we were kind of congruent on needing a Hawks goal, thinking that the offense maybe could show up, and if it would show up, it showed up early. That was completely in the reverse. They made adjustments in the second period, and clearly there's something they see against Arizona where they feel they can open up the offense, because we've seen now a combined 12 goals in these 2 games against the Coyotes. It's a damn shame divisions don't work like they used to, or we used to play teams 8, 9, 10 times in a season, because it seems like we'd be beating the shit out of Arizona often. But Colin Blackwell with a hat trick. First career hat trick. And after he had the statements post-trade deadline saying that he's happy he didn't get moved, he's been bouncing around everywhere, he wants to set his suitcase down and plant his roots in Chicago. And I say, Kyle, go for it. Sign this guy to a couple-year deal. Definitely he would be a good bottom 6 addition. He's a guy who can give you some top 6 forward minutes if you have injuries. He has proven his worth moving forward in this rebuild, that he belongs here. So great game by him. Great game by CB98 as well. And Soderblom, as long as he's playing Toronto, Arizona, this guy's actually an NHL goalie. It's just the other, 28, 29 teams he's got to play and figure out moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. So credit to Chicago. Nice win for them last night. All right, let's get to Monday's card. We got 4 games on tap, and we will begin in the Big Apple. It's the New Jersey Devils taking on the New York Rangers. We've got the the Rangers rather, minus 135 home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. These two teams played recently, of course, and it was that game where, it was just a brutal game for New Jersey. It got away from them. It was 5-1 Rangers, February 22nd. That was the game where Rempe hits Bastion, ends up leaving the game. It was a brutal game, brutal night for the New Jersey Devils. Rangers now have won both meetings this year against the Devils, 5-3 and 5-1. The New Jersey Devils, if you look at this sample size, 3 games since the coaching change, Lindy Ruff fired, Travis Green taking over as the interim coach, 1-2 in the first 3 games. They basically beat the teams that are bad and they lose to the teams that are good. That's exactly what they've done here in the first 3 games since the coaching change. They play someone good, not up to the task, lose 5-3 to Florida, lose 4-2 over the weekend to Carolina. In between, they beat St. Louis, and I was on New Jersey against St. Louis in that game. That's kind of the approach. I think now we've seen enough of a body of work here, even though if it's just 3 games for New Jersey, where with this coaching change and the energy, they are playing with energy, but they're just not good enough to beat good teams. Are they good enough to beat bad teams and mediocre teams? Yes, they certainly can. But I'm not going to ask them to beat a Florida. I'm not going to ask them to beat a Carolina. I was not on New Jersey against Carolina. I was not on New Jersey against Florida. I was on New Jersey against St. Louis because I said this is their spot now to get the first win for Travis Green. But now they're playing another team that's quite simply better than them. So I will not be looking at the New Jersey Devils. That being said, here's your little caution here for the Rangers. They've got Carolina tomorrow night. Huge game in the Metro Division. Huge. Rangers and Hurricanes tomorrow night. So it's not the best spot in the world for the Rangers. Normally you would say, hey, it's the Devils. You hate this team. It's a rivalry. You're going to play your best. You're going to be focused. Not so sure. I mean, you could make a damn good case. That's the bigger game, the bigger opponent tomorrow night. The Carolina Hurricanes down in Raleigh. That being said, the Rangers are better. That's not a game I have a strong opinion either way. I'm not rushing in this spot in particular to take the Rangers. But if I had to, I'd still lean that way. And it is concerning. They are shorthanded a little bit on the blue line tonight entering this game. Adam Fox is day-to-day illness. Didn't partake in the pregame morning skate tonight, the game day skate this morning. So he's a game-time decision. Jacob Trouba's out, of course. So you're looking at Chad. Well, they got Chad Ruedel for a reason at the trade deadline for depth on the blue line. He's going to make an appearance on the blue line tonight, get into game action. Zach Jones, it looks like, will as well, to join Schneider, Miller, Gustafson, and Lindgren on the Ranger blue line. So, we'll see how this one goes. But like I say, I'm not backing New Jersey against a better team right now. They've shown me, even with Travis Green behind the bench, they're not beating good teams. They're not good enough to beat good teams right now. But in this spot with Carolina tomorrow night, minus 135 on the Rangers, who, by the way, are probably going to have Jonathan Quick in net tonight, with this being the front end of the back-to-back. Yeah, Quick for the Rangers, Kokkonen for the Devils. So I'm actually leaning over a little bit in this game. First period over, full game over, staying away from the sides. I know Quick's had a nice season, but a lot of the best work from Jonathan Quick was October to December, not so much January to March. We've seen a little bit of a downgrade in his performance, I think, post the new year. So the overs are of interest to me for sure in this game, especially with the very real potential of a Kaapo Kakkonen sighting. Kaka, that's going to be his new nickname. And no, not that soccer player from Brazil from 3 decades ago or 2 decades ago. This is another Kaka, our own hockey version of Kaka, Kaapo Kakkonen, who's been playing like Kaka for the better part of the last several starts. Alex, what do you think here? Devils and Rangers.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, if you fly Kaka from San Jose to New Jersey, it's still Kaka and it smells just as bad. So give me the over. Full game, 6.5, first period, over 1.5. Staying away from both teams to score. We'll be on the Rangers team total as well. In fact, that's actually the play I like the most out of this game. I just trust them to get the goals. But now with Quick, it most likely going in net too, that will get me on that full game over. I think New Jersey will be able to get some goals. This is still a rivalry, and I don't think the Rangers are looking past anyone. Like I said, you have a chance to put your rival away and earn points. You're trying to, chase, the top of the range right now. play everybody tough. And like I said, you can't afford to have look ahead spots because you're going to have tough games down the stretch, night in and night out. There's no really downtime to look at unless you've clinched everything, and that'll be coming weeks from now. So I expect the focus Rangers bunch here tonight. They should get the win, so maybe grab a little bit of Rangers money line. I don't want to do that pregame. I feel like maybe we get enough goals back and forth. If we can get a 1-1 score, we could probably find a spot maybe we can get Rangers at a little bit of cheaper of a price money line, but definitely liking the overs and definitely rolling with Rangers team total over 3.5 in this game.
Yep, over bifecta here, I think, for me with Devils and Rangers, over 1.5 first period, over 6.5 full game. Although I'm going to take the 6 minus 122 at Pinnacle. I'll lay the minus 122 at Pinnacle to get over 6 instead of 6.5.
Yeah, I would lay that. I don't have the Pinnacle option, but I certainly would advise laying of pricing and trying to find a 6 there.
Yeah, I like the security of 6. To me, that's the biggest. To me, 5.5 to 6, the difference is not as severe, not as big. But you tell me I can get a 6 instead of a 6.5 when I like an over. That's big to me because 4-2, like I say, is a very common type of score. So this is an interesting game, though, just because, it's the Devils, they will get up for the Rangers, especially losing twice to them. The Rangers do have Carolina. That's why I'm a little leery of the Rangers, but I still lean Rangers. And if you're going to play the Rangers, I even might jump in on that team total. That team total at Pinnacle is plus 116. Okay, that's a really, really, really good price, especially if Kokkonen is in net to play New York Rangers team total over 3.5. Again, plus 116 over at Pinnacle, the reduced juice book, which is just a godsend and one of my top book options, sports book options for sure. Them and Bet365 and BetMGM and FanDuel. Those ones for hockey for me are the top 4 in my opinion. The ones I use the most anyway. What do you think here, Brett? New Jersey, New York Rangers.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. I'm also going to go with the first period over, Rangers team total. I like the over 6.5, but over 6 is a better option if you can have it. And but I am also going to add the both teams to score in the first period. I think with the banged up Rangers blue line, the revenge factor from a short time ago for the Devils, and you got Jack Hughes and Timo Meier. They're playing well the last couple of games. 9 goals between the two of them in the last 5 games, 14 points. I think they can get one early. So, like Alex said, we see a 1-1 score. Maybe at the end of the first period, everyone's happy.
So you like the trifecta with this one? But
it's almost like a quadfecta with the Rangers team total.
Right,
over.
pretty much, yeah.
Exactly. If you throw in the team total, look, no doubt about that. As far as props go for this game, I do want to mention there's a couple things here. Roslovic, let me see. Obviously, we used him as the bargain bin Saturday. He did not score, but he's still got value as far as I'm concerned on the top line. But if you're looking for someone that's really, 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 really producing right now for the Rangers, that would be Vinny Trocheck. 3 goals, 4 points in the last 3 games. Any Vinny Trocheck props, certainly I would think are well worth a bet here in this game tonight. On the New Jersey side of the equation, it's taken a while for this guy to get rolling, but suddenly Timo Meier is starting to show up a little bit here for the New Jersey Devils. I mean, really show up. He's got goals in 5 straight games coming into tonight for the Devils and 8 points during that span as well. So we're talking about a 5-game goal scoring streak right now for Timo Meier of the New Jersey Devils. So, it's difficult to turn that. Again, the prices for him, now that he's starting to score again, if you look at the player prop pricing, it's starting to get to the point again where now they're adjusting again because this is this is probably the best stretch of hockey he's played in New Jersey as a member of the Devils since the deep trade last year at the deadline with San Jose. There's no question. He's finally starting to play a little bit like the player they hoped they would be getting. And you can get plus 195 or so with Timo Meier to score. For a guy that scored in 5 straight games to get plus 195, I know it's not bargain bin pricing, but plus 195 at Bet Rivers, plus 190 at BetMGM. That still ends up being a pretty good price for a guy that scored in 5 straight games for the New Jersey Devils. What else could we see here in this? I'm trying to think. There's one more, I think, on the Jersey side of the equation here. Obviously, Jack Hughes always a threat, no doubt about that. I think it was Howla, because Howla, I think, has scored before against the Rangers a couple of times. But, yeah, those would be the main ones there for props. I know the chat is taken by the NFL news apparently has just broke that Kirk Cousins is with the Atlanta Falcons. So there we go. We'll see if his primetime record can get any better with them.
Probably not.
Probably not. No, they continue to look for a quarterback over and over again, that team. And I don't know if that's going to be the answer. All right, St. Louis Blues and Boston Bruins. We've got Boston minus 230, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. I'm not back in St. Louis. You see this team is fading away and starting to slide out of the playoff mix in the Western Conference. They had this really strong run about a month ago, but it's kind of gone the other way for them. They've lost 3 in a row against the Islanders, the Devils, and the Rangers. 2 of those are up. Well, the Islanders are playing well now. The Rangers are a good team. Devils aren't, and they still lost that game 4-1. But the reason I like New Jersey that night against St. Louis is because St. Louis isn't playing well. And I said, this is the spot here for the Devils to get that win under Travis Green, that first win under his belt. And they got the job done. So you're seeing them scuffle right now. Boston, I'll tell you what, Boston played awful and still beat Pittsburgh 5-1, which tells you all you need to know about the Penguins right now and how bad they are. But Boston was not very good against Pittsburgh on Saturday. I think they know it. You don't have to tell Brad Marchand, Pasternak, and Jim Montgomery, the coach, that they didn't play well Saturday. Don't be fooled by 5-1. They did not play a good hockey game, all right? Allmark was very good. Pittsburgh is inept at finishing right now. They can't score a goal. They can't put water in a boat. They couldn't put a puck in the ocean right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's an issue. Every little breakdown Pittsburgh made defensively ended up in the back of their net. Boston did not play a good game by their standards Saturday against Pittsburgh, and yet still won 5-1 because of how bad the Penguins have been. This one's tricky for me because I think part of me wants to go Boston here in some form, but obviously in regulation, I don't want to go with that in this game. If you look at the Bruins schedule as well, their next game is at Montreal. It's Thursday. It's a rivalry, an old school, original 6 rivalry, but Montreal's not as good as they used to be. We'll see. I think the first period puck line, Chris Otto's looks like he likes that. That would be the thing I'd like the most if I'm looking at Boston here. Maybe a first period puck line in this game, which I also had with the Rangers the other night against St. Louis. I had the first period puck line there in that game. So that might be something to consider here. And what was it? 1-0, I believe. No, it was 2-0 Rangers after the first period the other night. So that's worth maybe a team. You could even go a team total over in the first period for Boston. You can always get that 1.5 at plus money. It's not bad. Certainly the full game team total over. I would prefer that with Boston than anything in regulation puck line. St. Louis has given up 4 goals in each of their last 3 games. All of them losses to the Devils, Rangers, and Islanders. They gave up 4 in each. So why can't the Bruins score 3 goals or 4 goals rather in this game? The price is reasonable. It's manageable, around over 3.5 for Boston team total tonight. You can get that at minus 110. I think that's that's probably what I like the most. That maybe a little first period puck line as well on this Boston Bruins side. Now I did notice there's been heavy overtime shootout history with these two teams. So I almost have to, by default, because it's been so strong, play the draw, but I don't love it. I mean, I honestly think if you ask me truthfully, Boston's going to win in regulation here because of what I'm seeing from St. Louis, where they've lost, 4-2, 4-1, 4-0 these last 3, outscored 12-3. Doesn't sound like a team to me that's going to be in a close hockey game necessarily. But then you look at the head-to-head, and 3 of the last 4 meetings have gone to overtime or a shootout, although all of them were in St. Louis. It is worth noting. But for that reason, I will sprinkle on the draw, but go lightly with that. I don't love that draw compared to some. Majority of my look here will be the Boston looks, the first period puck line, the team total over 3.5, minus 110. Alex, what do you think here? Blues, Bruins.
Yeah, that's funny. The only thing I like in this game is the draw. And it's not just the history on that. I think this is a spot where Boston could possibly just kind of lay an egg. I wouldn't back St. Louis, but I feel like Boston can play down to the point where they keep the Blues in this contest. So that's why I'm not really looking at the totals. 5.5 sounds about right. If we get a goal early here and we see a 6.5, I might even go under 6.5 potentially. And I could see this one kind of just slowing down. Boston doesn't need to. What are they going to prove by blowing out St. Louis 8-2, right? Their main thing with some of these games will be, like I said, that even with Montreal, I could be a little bit more jazzed up for that. This definitely feels like a spot where it's a Monday night, take it easy. Crowd's not even going to be that hyped up. Get your 3-2 overtime win and get out of there with 2 points. It just has that vibe to it. So I'm taking the draw plus 360.
Yep, that's exactly why I'm on the draw, just because while I do think Boston's got the potential, if they do crank it up a notch here, to win 3-1 or 4-1, something like that tonight in this game, I could also see them playing down again. They shouldn't, because they played down. They had their play down game against Pittsburgh. Even though they won 5-1, that was a play down to their opponent game because they didn't play well. And again, Pittsburgh's just too inept and too bad right now to take advantage of it. At least St. Louis, if they play that way again tonight against St. Louis won't be as inept as Pittsburgh, right. And they will take advantage of some of that lax performance we saw from the Bruins on Saturday. That Pittsburgh's just too horrendous right now to do anything about.
And that's just my point. Yeah, St. Louis, they're falling fast, right? They're going to miss the playoffs, in my opinion, at this point. Yep. But they're not as bad as where Pittsburgh is right now. So a 5-1 Pittsburgh game on Saturday, you put St. Louis in that spot, it's probably 5-4 in overtime or 5-4 in a shootout win for Boston. So yeah, that's definitely one of those. Boston, if they want to win this game big and cover the number and do all for their fans and the supporters, they got to come out hot early. If they let St. Louis hang around early, this thing could be close all the way through.
And it's kind of a strategical thing for me too, because I know if I lose the first period puck line, I know if I lose the team total over on the Bruins, that probably means the draw is going to be live.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it as well. Yeah. What do you think here in this one, Brett, St. Louis and Boston?
Yeah, the only thing I'm on here is the Boston team total over 3.5. Going back to what you said, St. Louis has given up 4 goals in the last 3 games, and Boston scored 4 in 3 out of the last 4. So I'm just going to stay on that Boston team total.
All right. Bruins team total over as well for Brett. As far as the prop market goes in this game, Jake DeBrusk starting to heat up. 2 goals, 6 points in the last 4 games for Jake DeBrusk. In fact, he's had multi-point games, Jake DeBrusk, 3 of the last 4 for the Boston Bruins. So this is one of those spots to take an over 1.5 points on a guy like Jake DeBrusk. Again, 3 of the last 4 games, he's had 2 points in the game. So that is definitely something you want to make note of. He has definitely started to heat up for this Bruins team. Someone in the chat, Taylor, 1,000% right. 1,000% right about this guy right now. Pavel Zacha just recently returned from a little bit of an absence here for the Bruins. And look what he has done here these last 4 games. Since the Toronto game in Toronto last week, a week ago tonight. Pavel Zacha, since that time, in 4 games, has 5 goals, and he has 7 points. So anything and everything Zacha here tonight. Pavel Zacha goal, Pavel Zacha assist, Pavel Zacha take a shot over 1.5 points. You'll get, it looks like plus 375 or better with Pavel Zacha over 1.5 points. So it's definitely something to look at. He's just feeling it right now for this Bruins team. And the other one is the Morgan Geekie, of course. Morgan Geekie has been a great find for the Bruins. He's got 5 goals in the last 6 games, back-to-back games with a point. He's got 6 points in the last 5 games, or 6 games as well for the Boston Bruins. So those are really good looks. All 3 of those guys, DeBrusk, Zacha, and Morgan Geekie for the Boston Bruins for props here, not only tonight, but moving forward, because this is now over a week that all 3 of these guys have been making it happen offensively for this team. And then the other side of the equation, as far as the Blues, now I don't know how much scoring the Blues are going to do, so be careful here. And you look at some of the players that were kind of carrying the way for them. They've kind of cooled off a little bit. But one player, Braden Shen right now is in a massive tailspin, the captain as far as offense goes. But even Jordan Kyrou, he's kind of cooled off the last couple of weeks. Won't you be my neighbor? Jake Neighbors has even cooled off here a little bit in this recent stretch. Just 1 goal for him since February the 15th. Really, the only guy that's been decent lately, and even he's gone goalless in 5, is Buchnevich. Toropchenko is the one that's got the value. He's been on the 4th line, and yet he's snuck up and scored goals, on occasion here for St. Louis. So that's really the one that I think's got the best value here tonight for props on their side for this game tonight. All right, next up, we've got the Washington Capitals and the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg, minus 220, home favorites in this game. Total sitting at, it looks like 5.5 in this game, shaded to the over. And get used to this with Winnipeg. I mean, we're starting to see, more often than not, their games are being lined as far as totals at 5.5. And we are seeing that once again here tonight with their game against the Washington Capitals. Now, look, very interesting handicap here because you've got the Washington Capitals who are, still somehow, some way winning games, hanging around. They're actually 7-3 in their last 10 games. So as much as we, chide this team and think they've overperformed and overachieved, they keep finding ways to win. That being said, their last 2 victories were to Pittsburgh and to Chicago. So there is some degree of, let's pump the brakes right here with the Washington Capitals. We'll see how they fare here, taking a pretty gigantic step up in class here against the Winnipeg Jets. And for me, there's just zero chance of me going against the Winnipeg Jets in this spot. We're off a 5-0 loss to Vancouver. We played you the clip on the show yesterday. Rick Bowness saying not a single player on the team showed up. Not a single player on the team played well or had a good game. And he was not happy about it. So this feels like a Jets response type of spot for them here in this game tonight against the Washington Capitals. One little concern here is this truly has been a tough nut to crack for the Winnipeg Jets. They have struggled with the Washington Capitals in the past. 4-0 for Washington in the last 4 meetings, 6-1 in the last 7 meetings as well. And you have to go back to February 27th, 2020 to find the last time the Winnipeg Jets beat Washington. And that was a 3-0 win back on February the 27th. So it's not the easiest bet to make, there's a part of me that feels a little bit concerned given the series history and success Washington's had head-to-head with Winnipeg. But I'm going to take a Winnipeg first period puck line, Winnipeg full game puck line, Winnipeg team total over trifecta, like a Jets trifecta type of deal. I still am not totally buying into Washington going on the road against a Jets team that should be in a mood to respond to the criticism of their head coach, Rick Bowness, here tonight in this game. And if you look at Winnipeg's schedule, they play Nashville next up. It's not, Nashville's obviously battling for the playoff spot, but they're not really in a battle with Winnipeg for anything in terms of in the same race. I think it's a spot for Winnipeg to respond. And keep in mind, Winnipeg off a loss, been pretty good all year. They lost to Dallas. They went to Carolina, beat the Hurricanes after that. They lose to Seattle at home 4-3. And how did they respond? And Rick Bowness was a little upset with that game and the way they defended against Seattle. They went to Seattle and shut them out 3-0. So they have definitely been a good response team the last few times we've seen Winnipeg off a subpar game. So with some trepidation, given Washington, they're feisty as hell. They won't go away. They're that fly. You try to swat them, and they come right back and start buzzing in your face again. That's basically been Washington all season. But I'm still going to roll with those 3 bets. Smaller variety, split them up evenly between the 3. Jets first period puck line, Jets full game puck line, Jets team total over. Give me the full game over, too. And I know he's going to want to play good defense here. And I might even do over bifecta here as well, over 1.5, over 5.5. Look, it's cheap for this game as far as Washington goes. They've been an over type of team until they played Chicago, but they had gone over and basically 5 straight games had gotten to 6 goals before that Chicago game. I know Winnipeg can be an under team, but I think tonight the focus is get the offense rolling, right? You got shut out 5-0 by Vancouver. Get the offense rolling. And then you look at series history with these 2 teams, and we have seen the over cash in 3 of the last 4 meetings, 5-2, 4-3, 5-2, and 3 of the last 4. So it's been more of an over series history. So, yeah, I'm going to end up with 5 bets pregame with this one. The Jets first period and full game puck line, the Jets team total over, the first period over, the first period and the full game over 5.5 as well. What do you think here, Alex? Washington, Winnipeg.
So I have 5 bets as well. Not all the same as you. I have 4 of the 5 that you have. I have the over duo with the first period over and the full game over. I have Jets team total over, and I have Jets first period puck line. Like I said, and it's all predicated on I believe this team comes out hot. Even if it wasn't for the comments made by Bonus the post game, I just thought the Jets were going to come out hot against Washington. Like I said, there's been a bit of a history with Washington dominating the series, and keep in mind, if you go far back, Winnipeg used to be Atlanta, Washington always be Atlanta, and that seemed like they just kind of always carried over franchise-wise. But this is a completely different Caps build, completely different Caps team, and I think with the up and down pace, the Jets, I think Caps are playing better offensively, but at the end of the day, if the Jets are really going to take this game seriously and everybody step up, they'll get the offense rolling first, and then they shut things down late. So I do like goals here enough to get the over for the first period and the full game, and also give me the team total over for the Jets along with that first period puck line. I got plus 145 this morning.
Yeah, Russell, I don't like bucking series history like this. Like Washington has been a bad team for Winnipeg. Really bad. I mean, Washington's owned them, actually, you could even say. 6 of the last 7 meetings, but they're not the better team. Winnipeg is still the better of these two teams. They're coming off a skunking against Vancouver where their coach ripped them and called them out after the game. There's got to be a response here. And you're going to give me the better team in a response spot at home off a game like that, I'm taking them.
And let's go back in time with these two clubs, right? We talked about a Capitals team that had a hotter Alexander Ovechkin, had Evgeny Kuznetsov, Johansson, had all these different other guys and all these other different players that helped them out. Where the Jets were more of a slower, plodding, physical team, couldn't keep up with the kind of speed Washington has. That's not the case anymore. This is not a fast Caps team at all. If anything, the Jets have the speed edge along with the size.
By the way, it looks like tonight is going to be the night, by the way, for Tyler Toffoli's debut with the Winnipeg Jets as well. And that's just another element that, look, sometimes, someone joins the team after the trade deadline, first game, upsets the apple cart, upsets the chemistry. There's nothing to upset here. Okay, you got bombed 5-0 by Vancouver in your last game. There's no upsetting any chemistry. In fact, it's probably adrenaline and a surge of energy that pulsates through the Jets dressing room tonight with the arrival of Tyler Toffoli making his Jets debut tonight after getting dealt from the Devils. So that is one of a few Jet props I will be looking at. Toffoli here. It's a great addition. He's going to fit in nicely. He's won a Stanley Cup. He gives them that experience. No question. It's going to be, I think, fun to see how it goes for Tyler Toffoli with this team down the stretch. Brett, what about you here? Washington, Winnipeg.
Right now, the only thing I got on was that first period puck line for Winnipeg. I do have the full game over on my list. I just can't decide if I want to pull the trigger or not. This seems like one of those games after getting called out that, listen, the last, 5 games for Connor Hellebuck, he has not been good. I feel like this is a game where he might just post a shutout too and keep this game under after getting called out by the team. So I'm not sure yet. I'm still undecided on that full game over, but I might go that way.
You're right. He hasn't been as sharp lately. There is definitely some truth to that. I mean, he was in net for the 5 goals against Vancouver. He was in net for the 4 goals, and they lost at home to Seattle last week. And keep in mind, 0-2 in his last 2 starts. Brossoit is the one that pitched the shutout in Seattle Friday night, 3-0. That was not Hellebuck. So Hellebuck does need to step it up a little bit. He's probably part of what Rick Bowness was saying after the Vancouver game. He said not a single player, goaltender included, didn't play a good game on Saturday night against the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll see how it goes. But like I say, we're going to bank on this situation here with the team that's the better team still in a spot where the coach is not happy. The team shouldn't be happy. They know they played a stinker of a game the other night. I expect them to show up. We'll see if they do that. As far as props go in this game, like I said, Toffoli props in his debut. Why not? It looks like he's going to play tonight on the second line for the Winnipeg Jets in this game tonight. So keep an eye on that. He's going to play first power play as well with Scheifele and Monahan and Josh Morrissey and Kyle Connor for this Jets team as well. But on the second line with Monahan and Iafallo. So keep an eye on that trio. Looks like Vladislav Nemesnikov's back down to the 4th line. Ehlers, Scheifele, Connor, the top line. Niederreiter's been pretty good lately, especially at home. So maybe look at props in that direction. For Washington, I agree with what someone in the chat said earlier. If you're going to look at props for them, the 2 guys that it seems like I see them on the scoring sheet every game recently for Washington. Hendrix Lapierre is one. Goals in back-to-back games. He's got 5 goals in the last 6 games for the Capitals. And the other one is, I've talked about this guy a ton, Sonny Milano. He's on a 5-game goal-scoring streak for the Washington Capitals. So, yeah, Sonny Milano, goals in 4 straight. It's funny. He actually scored against Florida. He was out the next 2 games, I think, for injury or illness. And then he came back, and the last 4 games he scored in each game against Philly, Arizona, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. So you can't deny there's great value with even though I like Winnipeg in this game, there's some good value with those 2 guys in particular for the Washington Capitals based on the way they're producing right now. I mean, Hendrix Lapierre is plus 550 at FanDuel tonight. Sonny Milano with goals in 5 straight games is plus 500 at FanDuel, plus 500 at BetMGM to score a goal tonight. That's just the kind of stuff that doesn't come around every day. Guys that are producing at this clip that you can get at plus 500 to score a goal. And that's what you have with LaPierre and Milano here tonight for the Washington Capitals. All right, the final game of this Monday slate, it is the New York Islanders taking on the LA Kings. Very big game for both teams who are in need of points to not salvage, but to strengthen their push for the playoffs. We've got the LA Kings minus 145 home favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the under here in this game. Definitely form-wise, the first thing that stuck out to me is, man, I know it's a back-to-back, but it was a pretty easy game. Not a lot of stress, not a lot of physical or mental stress, let's be real, on the New York Islanders last night in that 6-1 victory over the Anaheim Ducks. Not to mention, you get to stay in the same hotel, sleep in the same bed. You just go down the highway to face LA. It's a very manageable back-to-back on the road, considering what many teams have to deal with. That being said, the Islanders have been terrible on back-to-backs this year. They're winless this year on back-to-backs. 0-5. Second night of back-to-back games this year for the New York Islanders. And it's the one thing that's kind of making me hesitant here. I mean, form-wise, you'd love to take plus 125 with the New York Islanders in this game on a 6-game win streak. And I still lean that way. But, you know, with the back-to-back spot, with the record of this team, over winless, haven't won a game on the second night of a back-to-back this year. I don't think I'm going to end up pulling the trigger. I do like the draw. I agree with Chris Otto 100%. This is the draw I like the most tonight. Absolutely, 100%. I think we have a great chance for overtime or a shootout here. The Kings need to bounce back after the 4-1 loss to the Dallas Stars on Saturday night. And that's now, you know, two losses in their last 3 games. This, I believe, is the end of the homestand for them. End of a homestand and off a loss is usually a good bet on spot, and that says bet LA here tonight. But, you know, I don't want to lay this price against the Islanders, and I don't want to rush to bet the Islanders because they're miserable on a back-to-back this year, 0-5. So the draw to me is the clear choice in this game. We've seen overtime in 2 of the last 3 games involving the LA Kings. These 2 teams played back in December in Long Island. It went to overtime, a 3-2 Islanders win in that game. So just keeping it nice and simple tonight. Give me the draw here, late night hours, Islanders and Kings. And again, shop around to get the best draw price you can get at FanDuel. Usually some of the best draw prices on the market are there. And at FanDuel for the Islanders Kings draw, you can get plus 360 here in this game, which is a pretty damn good price. Alex, Islanders Kings.
Yeah, so I bet draw plus 360 at FanDuel right before I got on the air. Like I said, you know, 2 of the last 3 Kings games have gone past regulation. Their last meeting head-to-head went past regulation, and these teams need points desperately. So I expect a low and slow kind of a contest. Actually shouldn't say low and slow. I do expect it to kind of slow down, but I do expect goals here where I would actually be looking over to where 5.5s were around this morning. I actually did grab a little 5.5 minus $1.20. Now it's at 6. I'd say probably wait around. You could probably grab a 5.5. And maybe even first period over in game if we start seeing some high pace early. So goals, I wouldn't be too shocked by. Maybe a 3-3 correct score sprinkle as well. But definitely liking the draw more than anything else.
5 straight games for the New York Islanders with at least 6 total goals. So keep that in mind. That's to your point there. You saw 6 shaded to the under, even some 5.5s out there. 5.5, I do jump on the over a little bit. I mean, we do have an Islanders team that in 5 straight games, we've seen at least 6 goals in each of their last 5 games. So you're right. I think at 5.5, especially if you can get a 5.5, the over's worth a few shekels at least here in this matchup. Where it should be, by the way, Sorokin for the New York Islanders. And it's going to be big save. Well, will it be big save, Dave? We'll see. David Riddick confirmed in net tonight for the LA Kings. So it's going to be a Sorokin and Riddick goaltending matchup here in this game. By the way, I forgot to mention Lindgren projected for Washington, but that's not confirmed yet for that Washington and Winnipeg game as far as goaltending. What do you think here, Brett? New York Islanders, LA Kings.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I might go with that over 5.5 if I can find it. I am going to split my bet, though, between the Islanders and the draw. I think they're just too hot to pass up on. And usually on their back-to-backs, we see Sorokin start the first game and Varlamov the second game. In this case, it's reverse. And I think with this later start, everything going on with the Flyers right now, with Tortorella out, they're going to have a little extra juice in their step to kind of capitalize on what's going on there to catch the Flyers. So I'm going to split my bet between draw and Islanders.
Yeah, there is a good point there. Nick says you're right. Majority of the back-to-back games this year for the Islanders has been their backup goalie Varlamov in many of the games, and it's Sorokin usually plays the front end, and you're getting Sorokin, who's the better netminder tonight. That's true, but still, that record bothers me. I think LA rested after losing to Dallas. They bring something tonight. Like you're going to get a good. You should get a good LA effort tonight. You would think final game of the homestand 2 off a loss, so that's why I veered to the draw. I think if you take the value with the plus 125, I certainly don't hate it, but I do have a few things that worry me a bit for the Islanders here tonight. What doesn't worry me is betting Kevin Fiala to score a goal right now for the Los Angeles Kings. He has been that's one of my better segues right there, by the way. I must say so myself.
That's good.
Kevin Fiala to score a goal. He's been absolutely tremendous. Seems like every game he's finding the back of the net. Go back to that well. Brock Nelson, Kyle Palmieri, and Horvat. I mean, those are the three. I mean, you just rotate and cycle through betting those three guys to score for the Islanders right now. Hard to go wrong. They've all been terrific. Nelson, Palmieri, and Bo Horvat lately for the New York Islanders. So certainly from their standpoint, we could look in their direction. Dobson's chipping in offensively, point-wise, as well as Perlo mentions in our chat, no question. So keep that in mind. But, definitely some good options. Yeah, I mean, as far as points go for Dobson here, 4 points in the last 5 games for him. So even just if you're not totally convinced he scores a goal, you can bet the point prop or the assist prop. Most of his points have been assists as of late. All right, there's the Monday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. 320 live viewers. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much, and we hope you enjoyed this Monday edition of the show. And before we do our usual business at this time of the show, where we promote Patreon, and we promote the Betcasts, and we promote the Ice Guys store, we have some great Patreon members. We really do. And every single one of you that sign up $10 per month, we appreciate it because you support the show. Your financial contribution helps the show to keep going long term. But we got a wonderful message from one of our Patreon members, and it was such a great message, made us feel really good. We're going to read it to you. And this is why we're here. This is why we do the show, for people like this that have become a hockey fan, essentially, and become a hockey bettor by watching our show. So the message is this. How's it going, fellas? I started taking sports betting seriously early of November last year, and with that, I started betting hockey. I had never followed, watched, or bet hockey much outside of going to the Bakersfield Condors games in the American Hockey League. I went to Google search and I typed in hockey gambling podcast, and the first show I listened to was the Ice Guys, and I have listened to y'all only since that day. You guys by far have the best hockey betting show out there. The amount of hockey and sports betting knowledge I have acquired from all the work you guys do and the show has been insane. You guys have gotten me hooked on the great game of hockey itself. You guys are the best at what you do. The work and the show do not go unappreciated on this side. Thank you, Ice Guys, to the fucking moon. And all I can say is I got to get my Kleenex next to me here. I'm getting emotional. That is, wow. The words are wonderful. We can't say enough how much we appreciate you for sending that and tuning in every single day. And Alex, it just made our day seeing a comment like that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's wonderful. And like we talked about that over the years, it's wonderful. We love the people who support this program. And obviously, like I said, we're here to try to bring you winners every day from a betting aspect. And there's plenty of you who may have never, like I said, really paid attention to the game of hockey, even from a betting aspect or just at all as a fan of the sport. But when we get these messages and saying that people that, now they've grown to love the game of hockey as a fan and not just as a way to, find another sport to have action on every night, that really does warm the soul and warm the heart. And like I said, it's the reason I get out of bed most days, knowing that there are people who, appreciate what we do and the fact that they're loving the game of hockey more because of us. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be able to do this every day.
It is, and we're thankful we've met great people. I mean, it's the viewers and the listeners and the countless guests that we've had on the show over the years. I mean, it's just been it's such a it's silly to be able to call this work because it's so much fun doing this show. It's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's almost like therapy, being able to talk with the card every day and flesh everything out on the air with every game, and it's just amazing, and we love it. And we thank everyone that's a Patreon member, and we thank especially the person that sent that comment. Just absolutely tremendous support. We thank you a million times over for that. And again, that goes right into this great segue where, again, the Patreon page, $10 per month. Make sure if you haven't signed up already, you do, because we've got a Patreon exclusive live betcast coming up, and it's like literally right around the corner. It's patreon.com/ice guys, just $10 per month. We have a Patreon exclusive live betcast this week. Don't miss out on this one. The last one was a lot of fun and it went pretty well. So again, patreon.com/ice guys. When you sign up and subscribe there, you get our daily sides, totals, and player props, goalie charts, totals charts, and of course, bonus video content, plus access to that Patreon exclusive live betcast coming up this week. So again, patreon.com/ice guys. Your $10 per month go a long way to keeping the show going long term. Patreon.com/ice guys. Sign up now, just $10 per month. And if our main betcast for the month of March, this one's public, free for all. Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're looking forward to that one for sure. It's a great slate that night. You can DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast, and we will make sure that we send you the link for that betcast on Tuesday, March 26th before it begins. Our guy, Matt Robinson, will be in San Jose that night, but he says he's going to check in from there. So that'll be interesting as the Stars play the Sharks that night. So a great betcast coming up March 26th, end of the month. Make sure you join us for that. And of course, last but not least, make sure you check out the Ice Guys store. Still a couple of days to get the 20% off offer at the store for anything gear or merch there. Check it out, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yes, everything is back in stock right now, and you get 20% off today and tomorrow only. So just 2 days left to save and shop, and make sure you get all of your merch ready. Like I said, it's starting to warm up a little bit. Weather's getting nice. Maybe get a little lightweight hoodie, a little T-shirt, maybe a new ball cap. Replace that old ratty one you've been wearing for years. Get all of it right now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. I like it. Philly Eagle Flyer said, and I go through the work days, and when I'm on the job site, these shows get me through the days, he says. There you go. We love it. We love that we make, because you're right. The work day doesn't always go smoothly, and it's not always sunshine and roses. So the fact we can help it be a little bit better, definitely we love to hear that. Yeah. All right, next up, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great daily sponsors, Boston Hemp. All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. Again, you can get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys over at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night for this 4-game Monday slate. Alex, what do you got for Bargain Bin tonight?
Yeah, so we're looking at the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Washington Capitals. Like I said, no one showed up, according to Rick Bowness, for the Winnipeg last game. So we're expecting some guys to stand and deliver here. And I'm looking at Alex Iafallo, giving an anytime goal plus 400 over at FanDuel. I think he'll be able to step up, power play guy on the second line. And I think he'll be able to help drive the force, get some goals going for the Jets club at home tonight. So Alex Iafallo plus 400. It's my bargain bin special for this Monday.
All right, Alex Iafallo plus 400 for Alex B. Smith, Winnipeg Jets bargain bin special of the night. Brett, what do you got for us from the bargain bin?
I'm going to look at the Rangers-Devils games, and which should be, I think, a high-scoring game going back and forth. One of your more recently used picks, I'm going back to the well with Jack Roslovic, plus 350 on FanDuel, playing on that top line. Had 2 goals before he was traded. Didn't score his first game with the Rangers, but I think he'll get on score sheet tonight.
I went with him Saturday. Did not pay off. Hopefully it does tonight. Jack Roslovic, New York Rangers, plus 350 for Brett Skalski with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night is actually on a team that I'm actually going against from a side perspective. But when I saw that price for a guy that scored in 5 straight games, you just cannot say no. Sonny Milano, Washington Capitals, plus 500. Are you shitting me? For a guy that scored in 5 straight games, you give me a plus 500 price like that. That's bargain bin material right there if I've ever seen it. Sonny Milano, Washington Capitals. And even though I like Winnipeg in the game, Hellebuck has given up 9 goals in his last 2 starts combined. So Sonny Milano, Washington Capitals, plus 500. For my bargain bin special of the night for this Monday NHL card. All right, best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we're going to go right back to that game. We're going to go with that first period over 1.5 minus $1.10. Now, I do like Winnipeg to cover the puck line in the first period as well, but I think in order for them to do that, they're going to need 2 goals. Except Hellebuck has been susceptible to giving up some goals as well. So I think we do see at least 2 goals in this first 20 minutes of action with the Jets and Caps. So give me that first period over 1.5 minus $1.10 is available at FanDuel. It's my best bet.
All right, Washington, Winnipeg over 1.5 minus 110. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Brett Skalski, what do you got for us? Best bet.
Staying in the same game as Alex, Winnipeg, Washington. I'm going to keep it simple. After Coach Bones calls you out, you expect some pushback. I'm going to go with the Winnipeg puck line in the first period.
All right, there we go. Winnipeg Jets puck line, first period for Brett in this one. And again, you can get a pretty good price with that. Looking at plus 140 in a lot of spots with that Jets first period puck line for Brett Skalski with his best bet for this Monday slate. My best bet for this card, I'm going to go to that same game. We're all on the Washington-Winnipeg game in some form as far as our best bet. I'm just going to keep it simple here, though, and go with the Jets team total. Team total was good to me last night. Hopefully it'll be good to me tonight. Over 3.5 for the Winnipeg Jets team total here in this game. And again, you can find that at plus 104 at Pinnacle. Very good price. I think they get to 4. Starting to see that it might be Darcy Kemper in net tonight, and I think that's actually even better maybe for the team total. So Winnipeg Jets team total over 3.5 plus 104 for my best bet for this Monday NHL card.
Should we have a show same game parlay perhaps?
Yeah,
Maybe.
put all 3 best bets in the friggin' same game parlay. Why not? Do you
And then,
your
then
first
do,
period
do,
over,
do a
Brett's
smaller
first
one.
period puck line, and my team total over.
Do one with that, and then I may even do a smaller one and throw in my follow bargain bin as well.
Yeah, I think I like what you're thinking there because we all kind of think Winnipeg in a prime bounce back spot after a horrible game against Vancouver. Coach calls them out, and it's got all the makings of a game where they could get out hot to the first period puck line and to your first period over. And of course, they get the 4 goals they need because Washington, a little susceptible defensively at times, and including especially when you get Kemper in there if he does play. So that same game parlay's got a shot. I think maybe this Washington Winnipeg best bet same game parlay here from the 3 of us. Why not? Put a couple bucks on it. Take a shot for sure. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Brett Skalski, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Tuesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.